Hello to all of you, my lovely students in the 10th grade. How are you today? Welcome back to my English lessons. It's me, your English teacher, Iman Al-Jafari at Al Farouk Academy. In our lesson today, we are going to read the second part of the formal letter and identify the main ideas. We are going to define the meanings of some words and phrases and answer some questions related to the text. As I told you before, we are reading a formal letter that was sent by Natasha to Professor Burns. In the first paragraph, we read about the main reason why did Natasha send this letter to Professor Burns. As I told you, she wants to thank him. Why? Because he allowed or let the students to reproduce the photographs of his ancient British treasure trove. So they want to say thank you because you allowed us to reproduce the photographs of your artifacts. These artifacts were photographed by excellent Lucy Deval, and they put these photos on the DVD and they put them on the art gallery. So people were delighted to see these photos or these artifacts, okay? In our lesson today, we are going to start with the third paragraph. In this paragraph, we are going to read what did Natasha send to Professor Burns. So listen carefully to this paragraph to know more details.
I'm also sending a newspaper cutting of a report on the Arts Day, which I hope you will find interesting. As you will see from the report, many people made very positive comments about the last festival, which we found very encouraging. We are keen to organise another festival for next year, and we are already thinking of how we can make it bigger and better. We are planning to produce a festival programme illustrated in full colour, giving information about all the events and contributors. As one of our literature events, we are thinking about early writing and handwriting as an art form.
Okay, so after listening to this paragraph, who can remind us what did Natasha send to Professor Burns? Excellent, she sent to him a letter with a DVD. And in this paragraph, we have another thing that was sent to Professor Burns by Natasha, which is a newspaper cutting of the report on the Arts Day. So in this paragraph, as I told you, she sent to him a newspaper cutting about what? It was about the report on the Art Day. Do you remember the report that we read in the first paragraph? So Natasha cut this report and sent it to Professor Burns, the report that was written by Jago Materian, okay? So she sent this report to Professor Burns. Why? To read it, which I hope you will find interesting, which refers to excellent, the newspaper cutting. So she said that I wish or I hope you will find this newspaper cutting very interesting. As you will see from the report, when we read the report in the first unit, I told you all the comments or all the visitors' comments were excellent. They were positive, okay? They were delighted, satisfied with the students' achievement. الكومنتس تبعت الزوار كلها كانت إيجابية، okay? كلها كانت مدح. So about the last festival, which we found very encouraging, the pronoun here which refers to what we found very encouraging, which is excellent, the positive comments. So we found the positive comments very encouraging. So the pronoun which refers to positive comments. We are keen to organize another festival. Okay, so students decide to make another festival for next year, and we are thinking to make it bigger and better. The pronoun it here refers to excellent, the next festival. So they want to make another festival next year, and they want it to be bigger than the first one and better than the first one. إذن هم بخططوا يعملوا مهرجان تاني يكون أكبر وأحسن من المهرجان الأول. So if I ask you, what do the students want the next festival to be like? they want the next festival to be bigger and better. They are making or planning the festival program. عمالهم بيجهزوا برنامج الاحتفال illustrated in full color, giving information about all the events. What do you mean by illustrated in full colors? We want to make, yes, or to give information in details, okay, about all the events and all the contributors. What do you mean by contributors? مساهمين, so someone who helps in the festival, okay. So as one of our literature events, we are thinking about early writing and handwriting as an art form. They want to add another program in the next festival, which is the art form. Okay, as I told you in the previous unit, they put many programs in the festival or many events, like the music program, the dance program, okay, do you remember? And the literature program. Here they want to add another art form, which is early writing and handwriting. So the first question, what does the pronoun it refers to? When we say we are going to make it bigger and better, it refers to the next or the second festival. Okay, so the pronoun it refers to, excellent, the next festival. Write down the art form that, okay, write down the art form that students arrange to include in the next festival. They want to include another art form or yes, something that is new, which is early writing and handwriting. Okay, so in this paragraph, you are going to know that what did Natasha send to Professor Burns? DVD with a letter and a newspaper cutting. Okay, she reminded us what did people say about the previous festival, and she told us that we decide to make another festival and we want the next festival to be bigger and better. Okay, so she told Professor Burns that we are going to put early writing and handwriting as an art form in the next festival. Okay, and now we are going to start with the last two paragraphs in this letter. Okay, so we are going to read about what did Natasha ask Professor Burns to do. As I told you, the first paragraph, we have the main reason. The last paragraph, we have a request. دائما الرسالة الرسمية بتكون في بدايتها سبب وبنهايتها في طلب. Okay, so she wants to ask him to do what? Let's start listening to the last.
On behalf of the festival committee, I would like to ask you if you would be willing to contribute to our next festival. We understand that you have a special interest in early forms of writing from around the world, and we would like to invite you to give a talk on that subject. We would also like to ask you if you would write an introduction to the festival program. As a main contributor to our first festival, we feel sure that people will be interested to read your thoughts about the second one. Should you feel able to respond to our requests, we would be delighted to hear from you. Thank you again for all your support and encouragement during the last year. Yours sincerely,
So, who can give us the two things that were asked by Natasha to Professor Burns? So on behalf of the festival committee, I would like to ask, I want to request, okay, you, if you would be willing to contribute to our next festival. So she asked him, would you like to contribute in our next festival? يعني هي بتسأله إذا أنت حابب تساهم في المهرجان الجاي. How? Okay, so you have a special interest in early forms of writing, and from all around the world, we would like to invite you to give a talk in that subject. So the first request, أول طلب طلبته منه, to give a talk, خطاب, on that subject. Subject refers to, excellent, early or handwriting, early forms of writing. So if I ask you the first request, or what did she ask Professor Burns to do? To give a talk on the early forms of writing. We would also like to ask you another request. هاي في طلب تاني, if you would write an introduction to the festival program. to write introduction يكتب مقدمة لبرنامج الاحتفال. As a main contributor, who is the main contributor? Excellent, Professor Burns. To our first festival, we feel sure that people will be interested to read your thoughts about the second one. Okay, so one refers to what? The first festival, and the second, excellent festival. So she said that we would like to invite you to give a talk on early forms of writing. هي أول طلب. Number 2, to write an introduction to the festival program. هي الطلب الثاني. Okay, so why did she ask him to do this? Because they feel sure that people will be interested to read about his thought and ideas. Okay, should you feel able to respond to our request? Notice here how polite she was. Natasha was so polite in requesting information. If you feel able to respond to our request, we will be delighted or happy to hear from you. Thank you again for all your support and encouragement during the last year. Notice here how did Natasha end the letter. Yours sincerely. Okay, here if you know the name of the recipient, you say yours sincerely. So because Natasha knows the name of the recipient, who is Professor Burns, she ends her letter with yours sincerely. Okay, the first question, mention 2 things Natasha asked Professor Burns to do. What did she ask him to do? Excellent, to give a talk on early forms of writing. طلبت منه يعمل خطاب عن ال early form of writing. And what else? She asked him to write an introduction to the festival program. Number 2, what does the word one refers to or refer to? It refers to the festival. We say the first festival and the second festival. So it refers to the festival. Okay? Again, any question? Do you have any question? Okay, I will stop here, my lovely students, today. Please prepare the second part of our letter, which is an informal letter. In our next lesson, we are going to start with the informal letter, so please prepare it well. Thank you very much.